Hello and welcome to another episode of the Non-Fungible Twins. Today we got some good topics for you. We finally have our first guest, Dan the Man, and we'll be talking about the new crypto and NFT craze, the US economy, and AI regulations as well as trends. This is going to be a long episode, so we decided to split it into two parts. The first part, we'll be talking about the new craze in the crypto world, BRC20 tokens, NFT capitulation, pump and dump during the Shitcoin season, and the new Presale meta. And what has it got to do with ben.eth? All right, let's jump in, guys. What's up, everyone? This is Marc speaking. Let's welcome our first guest here today, Dan the Man. Lucas, do the introduction. Let's go.
Man, this is Dan the Man, of course. He's our NFT expert. If I have any questions about NFTs, he's the man to go. And he always has amazing stories of NFTs exploding and, of course, free falling afterwards as well. So welcome, Dan, our first guest. Woo! All right, Dan. So I see our agenda is already fully packed. So what do we got for us? Marc, what do you have for us today?
Well, since Dan is here, I figured I have an NFT token question. I have a topic, the ERC721C. Is that a great development or just a gimmick? And then later also something about AI.
Dan, what are your topics? Tell us.
All right, we got the new BRC20s, a token based built on top of Bitcoin. We've got the NFT capitulation, and where I think the NFT market is headed. We've got a little bit about the Shitcoin meta, so on Ethereum, the rise and rapid fall of shit tokens or meme tokens on Ethereum.
Nice.
And sort of the overall flow of money that we're seeing at the moment in the crypto world. Plus potentially a little bit more about AI, where we see the future with that.
Awesome.
And maybe a little bit of the US market and what's happening, because I think it also is kind of important what's happening over the next few weeks, months in the economy. So yeah.
That can definitely make it or break it. So I got for us, I want to talk about OpenAI in general, the Senate hearing of Sam Altman. That was just happened yesterday, so on the 16th of May. As well as I want to talk a little about Nvidia Perfusion, so basically an AI tool similar to, which is based on Stable Diffusion, similar to Firefly that we talked in our last episode, as well as Midjourney 5. Now, and we still have time, I want to talk about iOS 17 and how Apple allows people to create their own voice in less than 50 minutes. So basically a digital voice of yourself in 15 minutes. That's pretty sick. That's what I want to talk about. And yeah, Marc, you want to kick it off?
Of course, let's go. All right, guys, ERC721C token. So basically what it is, it's a C stands for creator. So ERC721C is a new token that was released, I think, last week or a month, I'm not sure, got the news today. So what's different to the regular ERC721 tokens? So basically ERC721, if I'm not mistaken, Dan, please correct me, are the tokens that are used for most of the NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain right now. These were initially created so that the creators would have royalties, but then a few months ago, sometime last year, someone really smart found out, wait a second, there's a loophole in the contract, and we can make it so that the creator does not actually get its royalties. So now this is the response to that. So with this, you can then make sure that OpenSea or Blur cannot set the royalties to 0%, and the marketplace will have to will honor the contracts. And obviously something also new, which is interesting, which is programmably royalties. So that means that creators can distribute the NFT collection royalties directly to holders. That means anyone that has been holding on to these can now be part of the benefits. So anyone who is wash trading or trading in general will now go into the hands of the diamond hands, or anyone who's supporting the project will now get the money. So guys, what are your thoughts on that? Is it cool development gimmick? What's your take?
Well, I think sort of by nature of Ethereum, sort of the contract level. I think it's pretty cool that people figured out how to get by those initially, and sort of this was a way for a lot of the collections. A lot of the collections are making their money off of the volume of trading. So if people are bypassing the royalties, these collections aren't making money anymore, aren't able to sustain their Ponzi as long. In my opinion. So you have, some of the bigger collections like Bored Apes and Moonbirds that we're talking about, sort of the PFP, the community NFTs that rely on royalties to, host parties, to give people merch, sort of the things that I would like the NFT space to stray away from.
Wait. But we gotta get the scoop. Did you buy one of these profile pic collections? I mean, you said you want them to stray away from.
We all did. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the one that's gonna buy something for like $15,000-$20,000, or a brand new car, and buy into something that I don't actually like. But of course, in the really early, when something new is coming out, and you think this has potential that I can dump it on somebody else's head, why not? Let's play, let's gamble a little bit.
Right. Opportunistic, I like it.
So that was very crazy in the beginning, right? Like the NFTs, everything is kind of going up.
Man, the Wild West.
Yeah, a lot of us. It's sort of a joke. We do exclamation point zero. Like everything is going to zero anyway.
I mean,
So
it is kind of true. Yeah.
So I'm hoping the space kind of trends towards the more technical projects, something that has cool coded art, something that's on chain versus off chain. And on chain just means. Well, let me start with off chain. Off chain is basically a lot of the monkey pictures that you see, or the owl token, a lot of them are just pointing to a server, and so that image can actually be taken down or changed. And on-chain means basically no matter what, you'll be able to recreate that image. So I'm hoping it kind of goes towards the cool part and the more technical projects. And that ERC 721 was an interesting moment, but if somebody doesn't, you kind of go into that knowing you're going to have that royalty.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are actually, even without that, are honoring the royalty if it's for, from a cool artist. Like I bought something from this guy, OX Def Beef. He didn't have an enforceable token on it. And basically I did set it to zero initially. Because I wasn't fully sure, but then the artist actually reached out. I was like, hey, I have a deal with this museum that I'm working with or curating with. Do you mind sending over that 10% royalty from your sale? And I was like, you know what? You put so much effort into this. Let me honor this royalty. It's something. I sent the guy like $300, $400, 10%.
Wow.
Damn.
Which is, it's not a insignificant amount of money, but when a lot of the collectors have respect for somebody as an artist, and you have a personal connection with them, and they ask you nicely, I'm gonna honor that like 10 out of 10 times. So
makes sense. I still smell a little story. You said that if it's off chain, it can be changed. So I'm guessing a story where this happened. Like they just changed it without the owners actually doing it.
Yeah, there's been a few off the top of my head. I can sort of remember one called Goblin Town.
Oh yeah, Goblin Town.
All right, tell the story.
Goblin Town is this. It was actually kind of fun. It was a fun time in NFTs where there was this token. This team, they did a free mint, so you can get into free. They had a royalty on it. And they basically jumped on a Twitter Spaces and they're just talking nonsense in Goblin talk. And there was this brief moment in time that this spurred, which was the theater meta.
Yeah.
So all these tokens are kind of trading on speculation, but this was the first one where they were almost incorporating this this theatrical experience to it. And yeah, all they were talking was sort of in this goblin speak, really degenerate audience that was kind of buying into this token or this NFT. And when the royalty sales were drying up, I believe, maybe a month ago, they were messing with people or trying to gauge some interest again, get people talking about it again. And they just changed the image of what people had, and everyone's like, "What? You can do this? You can just change what I bought? This can't be legal, or can it?" No.
Is it?
There's no roadmap. I'm sure it is. They kind of were going off of legally. A lot of these tokens have to say there's no roadmap, there's no utility. This is what it is.
Okay.
Because as soon as you start making promises, this is where you can get in trouble, I believe, especially if you're in the US.
Liability.
I've seen here's like a literally. Is it the one with the middle finger? Was just like fuck world. Jeez. Wait.
Yeah. Is it up right now?
Wait. I haven't. I found the image. Goblin NFT. Wait, let me just share the screen, and for everybody, all the listeners out there, you will be able to see it as well. Look, here we go. Here.
Well, the listeners won't, but the other ones.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're on Spotify and you watch it on YouTube, you can see it there. So they're just the middle finger, and is the middle finger as a body, and his arms also have middle fingers. Basically, everything is a middle finger there.
Even the penis. Look, the penis. The penis is the middle finger.
That's quite interesting. But I'm sure it got a lot of attention. But yeah.
So I believe they did. I mean, it would make sense for them to go to that new standard to enforce royalties, I believe. So what they did here is like, okay, yeah, this is kind of invalid, this token. Everyone is going to get airdropped the same image, but on a contract that enforces the royalties. I'm pretty sure that's kind of what they did. So
which makes sense, which totally makes sense, because in the end, it's like you don't want to hope that somebody just as you like says like, okay, I'm going to transfer you the royalty. No, you want to have that based in the contract, because if somebody can save 10%, most of the people.
I'm saving the 10%, man. 10%.
Yeah,
these
exactly.
things are not going for cheap. These are going for an ETH, which is right now $1,700, $1,800. So if I can save $180, hell yeah, I'm saving the 100. I don't care, man. I'm a cheapskate. I'll save the 10%.
For sure.
And I do hope that the space kind of will go in the direction where, I mean, you're seeing it right now. Everything is capitulating left and right. I think it's a hard reset that the space needs, and kind of shifts into a direction where you're looking at more technical things, like actual art, interesting art. And there's definitely, some good examples of that. And I hope.
The question that I have is, do you think it will go away then from the trading versus to actual holding? Because, I mean, the initial idea of an NFT was that you have this digital art, which is now valuable because it's only once out there, or you know how many times it's out there, to actual collectors versus, I mean, there was a big space for trading. So do you think we'll go away from trading and more towards, hey, we're actually art collectors?
I think so long term, because a lot of the, even though sometimes it's illiquid, some of the more niche collections and, maybe price wise, they might retrace also like 80%, maybe more in line with what like the the real life art world is like. There's no reason for something right off the bat, or some new artist, even though it's cool, for something to be trading at, or you're buying it for, let's say $6,000-$7,000.
Yeah.
Like, where are you seeing that in the real world at the moment? But over time, some of these artists that are very in tune with how the art space works in the real world, and that are doing some of this work in the crypto world, I think those are some of the artists that you should be looking at, that kind of understand the dynamics of the real art world as well as the crypto art world that are.
Then, to cut a little bit in there, didn't you buy like a painting or like an artwork which was an NFT as well as a physical good? Like, would be awesome if you could tell a little bit about that one.
Yeah. So actually, you can kind of see it in the back, there, back corner.
No, we can't see it. We can't sadly not see it.
Oh. There
Oh
we go.
yeah, no, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that right there. This is not an NFT. This was from a guy named Harold Cohen. And this guy created art back. I mean, he was an abstract painter back in like, I want to say the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
And he was one of the first people, like a pioneer of AI and computer coded art, to create these images. And he had like $250,000 worth of, let me keep it on there, $250,000 of machinery. And he would use code and have these little plotters, and it would create this art based on certain parameters. And if you YouTube him, there's some pretty cool examples. Harold Cohen. So that piece of art is something from like one of these pioneers. And there's like 5, 6, 7 of these guys. Manfred Moors, Vera Molnar, that were like the first people to use computers at the intersection of like creating, at the intersection of code and art. So
When was that exactly? Just for the audience. When did he start it? I didn't catch that
this was
part.
like the late 60s. There was this movement.
wow.
What?
That's amazing. Like personal computers, when they start 80s, 90s, like with the Macintosh.
Yeah, these were pretty, almost pretty bulky machines that they were using.
Yeah.
But I think it's extremely cool how these guys were, using code to create art so early on, and using AI. Like this guy had this machine called program they created called Aaron that was essentially making these images, and then he would actually draw, because he had that abstract art background. He would then draw in between the lines. So it would create the outlines, and then he would kind of color it in.
So was that code, or is he just like, how does it work? I mean, because I think that's super interesting, because it's super related to the other topics that we still have the list for today, and in general, what is happening in the AI space now. So he just typed in, I'm guessing that's not prompting. He's like, hey, I want this. He's like, I'm using
60s, bro. And this is 60s. There wasn't even a screen yet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that he prompting something. It's like, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's essentially, I think it's more along the lines of some of the computer-generated art that you see today with like P5.js, which is like a programming language, creating certain parameters and rules and having that create, even probably randomly, certain, different outputs from those parameters. So in terms of like AI, I don't think it's as similar to, what we see today with like these machine learning languages and stuff. But there's different umbrellas, I guess. But that was one. The other one that I got was from a guy, Lars Wander, and there's an NFT token, and then you also have the physical piece of it. So like the plotter from the code created this art piece. And
that was super, super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thought process on the piece back there is like, man, there's all these cool modern artists that are using code to create art. Let me take a look at the people that were like the first ones to play around with this. So
that's cool.
That's where that came from. Yep.
Do you think that will be the same? I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the news, but recently there was a guy who won a photography competition with an AI generated image. Do you think that these kind of stuff will also be at some point valuable? Because it's the first one that won the prize, maybe, or is going in that direction.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, yeah, that's, in my opinion, I'm not too crazy about AI art.
Yeah.
People say that there is an art to the like the prompting, and I
Yes.
think there's also probably some unique ways that you can incorporate AI into your art. But personally, I'm not like the biggest. I think art is also just based. It's what your personal opinion is, sort of. So for
Yeah.
me, this coded art is amazing, and I kind
Yeah.
of like the
Because you
parameters
know
and
the story and everything, of course. Yeah.
and for me, AI art, that's not really my taste, but I can
Yeah.
see how some artists can do something pretty funky with it to create cool art that could potentially be valuable. But yeah.
In my opinion, that one is, first of all, I think it's amazing that, like, for example, Midjourney or now Nvidia Perfusion allows like the everyday Joe just to create something like artsy. Because I don't have any like my drawing is literally a stick figure, right? And so
An
my
ugly one.
creativity is like very limited, or at least how to express it. And I think for that point, it's very, very cool. Regarding for artists, I'm sure there will be something amazing with it. But of course, prompt engineering or like text to image, what is right now the meta and like Midjourney and all the other tools. I don't think it's gonna be huge. Well, I mean it's huge already, but I like for an artist point of view. But I
Yeah.
like where it's going. For example, on our last podcast, we were looking at a picture of a tiger generated by Midjourney, and it was so realistic. I mean, of course, there were still flaws. Like the paws had like I don't know, like 6 fingers or whatever, or 8. But besides that, it looks super super realistic, and I believe that's when we will reach a point when they look super like hyper realistic that you can't see the difference between an image or whether it's generated by an AI.
Yeah.
That's true. I like it, like it. All right, boys. I see on the notes as well. I still see the shitcoin season. I feel like there's a good story there. Brief flow of money and pre-sale meta. Ben.eth. All right, Dan, give us the cliff notes. Give us the good stories.
Yeah, so I think the flow of money and attention is sort of one of the biggest things in crypto. Like if you're a trader, right, not collector, if you're trying to, most of the stuff is quick, it doesn't really have long-term value. It's more, where's the attention right now? What are people talking about? How can you get in before it starts to pick up or it starts to get attention? So that was obviously in the beginning NFTs, right? So you have all this money, people. You have one success story. It's like, oh, I made with top NBA Top Shop. Oh, I made thousands of dollars. Okay, and then people start to get burned on that. Then they start moving to the next one. Okay, oh, these monkey pictures are going up. What's the next monkey picture that's going to go up 1,000x? And now you're kind of seeing NFTs are kind of capitulating at the moment. I do think there's going to be like another round eventually, but there's just so much supply, right? So not everything can have value. Every day there's something new. So then NFTs kind of went crazy. Now the attention went off of that, and then you have sort of a mix right now between shitcoins on Ethereum.
Yeah.
You have even some tokens and NFTs on like Bitcoin that have kind of popped up. People trying to find other ways to spin a narrative to make some money. So
So basically, whatever they had, it's like back in the day in 2018, you had only shitcoin season. Then at some point, the flow went into NFTs because there's the big bucks, and now it's going back to shitcoins and Bitcoin. But what is it? You said on Bitcoin there's NFTs now?
Tell us a story about BRC20.
yeah, BRC20 is basically a way that you can trade how there are shitcoins or meme coins on Ethereum. They've created something that essentially works the same way on Bitcoin, so you can trade another coin built on top of Bitcoin. So like about 3, 4, or 5 weeks ago, people were starting to figure out, oh, here's a new market, and when there's a bit of friction, like myself, I didn't buy into it early on because I was like, oh, fuck, I'm lazy. This is
So much friction. Fuck that friction.
Wait,
super annoying.
explain the friction in this case. Explain the friction
Well,
in this case.
You have to set up you have to have a Bitcoin, like a type of Bitcoin wallet. Then there's this marketplace called unisat.io. You can mint them. The gas fees, or the fees that you need to do in order to like move these tokens
For the transactions.
for the transactions. It's a little bit different than Ethereum. So sometimes these things can get like stuck more easily. You can't speed up
Really?
the transaction to make the transaction go through. You
I
can,
mean,
but
it's
it's
Bitcoin. Yeah.
it's so new, and the UX of like the site or to trade it is just awful. So it's like frustrating. You want to slam your freaking head into the keyboard when you're playing around with this stuff sometimes. But yeah, there was a scenario where there was a case where a buddy of mine plowed like $50,000 into
Wow.
these tokens coming out, and smart guy. And at the peak last week or so, these things were valued at about $5 million. And now they've kind of retraced. I think maybe it's worth $1 million or $2 million.
Yeah. Still, I mean, that's 20 to 40x.
Yeah. But the thing is, people hear these stories like, oh man, this, it's very outlier case, like very early people.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I can do all of this and I just have to get lucky once. But realistically, it's like, it's a bit of a lottery thing. And the guy still put in $50,000,
That's
So,
crazy.
Then at the same time you had on Ethereum, you had like a thing called Pepe token, where this thing went from $300,000 market cap to 2 billion almost within a span of
30x.
So people are making, again, you hear these stories. Oh, this guy made $11 million. What's the next token? So then when that starts to like capitulate a little bit, now people are like also looking, what's the next thing? Or while it's riding up, where can I make these huge gains? And Turbo token comes up, which is another this one was made of this guy created a prompt, Chat GPT. Hey, how can I make a successful token?
Yeah.
You have my attention.
Did it work?
GPT.
Did
So
it
now
work?
people's attention is like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Where could this go? And it's just crazy, some of these valuations, right? Like,
What's the market cap?
you kind of start to filter into this thing called like a pre-sale. So all these people that are creating tokens are, these teams are like, okay, how can we make money off of this trend at the moment? And doing these things in the U.S. is very, very risky from the legal aspects of it.
Really?
One of these tokens, or
How come?
Oh, because it's security,
you're
right?
essentially, you're if you look at what it is, you are selling sort of like this security in a way, right?
Yeah.
There is somebody behind the team. If you follow the Howey test, it's
Howey. What is that?
It's-
Explain
Can you
the Howey
explain the
test,
Howey
please.
test? Yeah.
the Howey
Please.
test is, I have it up here, is whether a transaction qualifies as an investment contract and therefore would be considered a security. So Ethereum, like the base thing, Ethereum, it's like it's supposed to be decentralized, right?
Yeah.
And so the four things that it's looking for, the Howey, is it an investment of money?
Yeah.
A common enterprise with the expectation of profit to be derived from the effort of others. So that basically means, hey, I'm giving you money with the expectation that you as the founding team are going to do certain things Uh, if I believe that this team is going to do some marketing to try and pump up the price of this token, now you're kind of going into the is this a security thing?
Yeah.
And that's
People
where
are
it gets
doing that,
nasty,
but
liable.
it's hard from it's hard to enforce because there's so many of these people doing it. So people are now setting up these pre-sales, right? Pre-sale basically means, hey, we're gonna raise all this money to launch this token.
Yeah.
The team will get 5%. X percent is going to go into the liquidity pool so that people can trade it.
Yeah.
And then other people can buy into this token with, up to X amount of investment. And those were crazy last week as well. Like you put in half an ETH into one of these that were kind of hyped, or you got in. And these teams will give influencers. This is the shady part. They give influencers, the ones that have clout, they give them
money.
They give them access to these pre-sales. Now next thing you know, when this token is launching, you're dumping on the heads of new people that are hoping to sell it at a higher price eventually at 10, 5, 10, 20, 30x. Some of these things were. Now that's slowly starting to fizzle away as well, but it's still very much shitcoin or meme season where if you're in some of the right groups and you kind of don't take too much risk, kind of spread out your chips a bit.
Yeah.
You can still do kind of well. And
it reminds me a lot of 2017, man. 2018. There was a lot of shit season as well, shitcoin season.
I mean, we were so deeply into them shitcoins. I mean, man.
Hey, some shitcoins weren't that bad, Lucas. You had Engine.
Yeah,
they were pretty good.
That's true. Engine was good, Gamecoin. So Engine, I still believe in Engine. So I really believe that they will be the platform for games. So basically, for those people who don't know, basically Engine allows games to basically have their assets on, build it on a blockchain, put it on a blockchain. So that's also what I believe will be the future for gaming. Because right now, what you can see in Steam, for example, Steam Marketplace, for example, you have these assets which trade for quite a lot. For example, you can have a knife in Counter-Strike which can sell up to 20,000 or 30,000. I think was the most sold knife ever. And yeah, I mean, technically, you can produce them as many times as they are, right? Because you can just get them out of a what is it called?
Case,
well, exactly.
Also, it's harder for you to liquidate. It's harder to liquidate once you're in the Stream Marketplace. You can't liquidate. You can go on those illegal websites, right?
Exactly.
Well, sorry, gray zone. They're not illegal.
Yeah, and once you have it, of course, on a blockchain and in your wallet, you can just take it wherever you want. And in the future, you might even be able to take it from one game to another one, which I still think it's going to be hard because every game wants to be different. But yeah, I think that's super, super cool that you will be able to just trade them wherever and get actually real money and get rewarded in real money. So I really, really believe in that anyways. So that was the little rant on Engine. But
guys, do you guys have anything else for NFTs then, or do you guys want to head over to the US market economy or to the AI?
Oh, what happened with ben.eth?
Oh yeah, what is that?
Yeah,
yes, so please.
This guy, oh man. So a lot of people are taking advantage of how hot the meme coin market is at the moment.
Yes.
And a lot of people are even doing things where they'll buy a Twitter account with some followers. They'll say, okay, send money to this address, and we're gonna create this token. So there's one actually, Daniel Coin.
Did you create it?
Are you scamming?
No, I got scammed actually.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. So sometimes things pop up. Somebody's because this stuff moves so fast, right?
Yeah.
And so somebody will post a Twitter and it's like, oh, I think this looks kind of interesting. And so I look at the Twitter and it's like, oh, send money to this address and this is the coin that's going to launch. And so then they take that money and they don't end up doing anything. They just rug it. They delete it afterwards. But this guy, ben.eth, he was involved in like a pretty successful one. He ended up selling.
Wait, a successful rug or a successful coin?
Both. I mean, Mark,
sold-
we can't even laugh. We also got rug pulled or like scammed.
sold
So.
his-
We don't say that.
he sold his Ben token to this other guy.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, there's a lot of demand here right now for this, for me. And he's kind of like a mid-tier influencer. And he got...
What is a mid-tier? How many followers does he have? Or had?
40 to 60,000 followers, maybe.
Yeah. Which is not bad in crypto, actually.
So this guy's like,
really
did
big.
one of these things like, send money, 0.5 ETH max. It was an open edition, so there's no like cap at how much he's gonna raise.
Yeah.
So I think he's sitting on something like $4 to $6 million, and then he's like, he is like longing the pre-sale amount. So people are still like some dummies are sending this guy all this money, and so it still hasn't launched yet. Maybe he's still accepting it. He also said, actually, I take away the amount that you can send. So people that have sent half an ETH already, you can actually double up on your investment. And,
Oh my God. It's just...
who knows where this is going to go. So it's a case where guys, just rate.
But it will... Whenever it comes out...
At the moment.
That's why I believe, I mean, the reputation from this guy, I mean, okay, he has 5 to 6 million, but like, he will never be able to do anything else once he get identified. What is it called?
Doxed.
Yeah. Doxed, yeah. Once you get doxed. So crazy.
And he admitted to like definitely crimes, like there's certain things you just can't. I don't think he has a legal team. Let's just put it that way.
No.
Well, that was.
I hope he has one, though. I really hope he has one, but...
Yeah. Well, they're not
alright.
really advising him correctly. Maybe he's going off to Dubai now.
Who knows? Or to Costa Rica. I think it's also pretty nice there.
But yeah,
not
in
too far.
short, there's a ton. You can still make a ton of money.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention a lot.
Yeah.
You have to have sort of a feel for it, and you have to be in certain groups. Sometimes to make it
Access.
easier to like identify certain opportunities.
Yeah.
It's really risky, obviously, but if you're gambling, you put in a couple $100 here and there, who knows? I hope that it kind of goes back to the more cool art in NFTs. I hope after multiple people get burned on some of this stuff, we can kind of appreciate some like longer term investments in cool art and cool people, guys that are doing interesting, unique things, like our boy Harold Cohen back in the day over there.
Man, this guy was a pioneer for sure.
Rest in peace, Harold Cohen. Maybe some of this stuff on the side, it is kind of exciting again. Obviously, getting this, these opportunities like where you can make 100x overnight. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that it's an adrenaline rush for sure. I'm sure will be 100% people that will be willing to do that, and they're always seeking that. I mean, it's like you said, you summarized it very well with a brief flow of money. It's about the money. Then, well, where can you make money? There it goes.
I mean,
right?
if you have
NFTs, shitcoins, they don't care.
If you have an info...
End of the day, it is kind of all about the money, right? So,
Yeah.
for sure. And as well, if you have an information advantage, right? If you have like a arbitrage opportunity because like information earlier than anybody else because you are in one of these guarded communities, you can like you're more likely to make money, right? Because normally the everyday person who hears on Twitter that this like coin is hype or whatever and then finally decides to buy it, he's already too late, right? It's like if you hear somebody talking about crypto in your barbershop, you should probably sell, because like that's when it's too hot, right? So that's, I think, one of the points that is really, really important, because like let's put it this way, Mark and I tried, didn't make any money. We lost a lot of money trading NFTs because we were just not in the right groups, or definitely just we have paper hands, but that's a different point.